Ever since I was a small kid, I loved just making particle trails using 2.2. And honestly, when 2.2 came out and it came out with this particle system, I knew it was going to be crazy. So in today's video, I'm actually going to teach you how to make 5 really cool looking trail effects. And the coolest thing about them is that they are very easy to do and they look really, really cool. So it's pretty much as if you're sacrificing like 5 or 6 objects just for a very cool looking particle. And I must say, every single level that is a classic level that doesn't use a particle trail is a bit lame, I gotta say. So if you're working on a level or anything similar, you have to add a trail to it. So let's just get started and make the first cool looking trail. So the first thing I want to do is go over here, click this particle and add it over there. So one very cool trail I love doing is one using this texture right here. So you're going to select that one, go to visual and then make it really big. Let's say like 20. Bring all of these to 0 and then simply go to extra, make it start size equal to, actually, we're not going to do that. We're going to do simply 12. So it goes from 20 to 12, I mean. And then the pos of our x, you want to make it 0, speed 0, angle 0, and this one 0. And then that one also make it 0, and then click on calculate. And now it looks terrible, but hold up. Just go to extra and click relative. And you guys are going to see that we have something. So how do we make this follow the player? This is just step 0 right now. And by the way, my tutorials are super duper beginner friendly. So select the thing, go to edit group, give it a new group ID. Let's say we give it the group ID of 1, and then you just add a advanced follow trigger. Just go to here, make it 1 P1. So we want to follow, we want this thing to basically follow the player, right? And now if you go ahead and select the swing copter right here, you guys are going to see that, yeah, not that easy, but yeah, if you've done it correctly, you guys are going to see that there's this cool little trail, which looks pretty nice, but we're about to spice this up like even crazier. So to make more particles, just go to here and then click on calculate, and now it's just going to spawn more particles. And honestly, this already doesn't look that bad, but if you want to do that, then I'd rather go with this one because it just looks smoother. But my plan is to do something a bit different. So in here, if you go ahead and change the end spin by a margin, you guys are going to see that this is going to look phenomenal. It's going to start looking like a 3D thing, which is just so cool. You guys can see that just by doing that, we have added a beautiful looking trail, like just a bit of adjustment to it, and it could fit in a really cool legendary level even. So make sure your particle is set to B1 and not T1. If it's T1, it's going to be on the player. Just make sure it is B1. So now if you focus really closely on the particle, like you guys are going to see that at one point there's going to be like this single missing particle, as you guys can see. So you see that there's always like every time we walk, there's that missing particle, and it looks very, very annoying in my opinion. And to fix that, what you have to do is firstly click on calculate, and then it's just going to calculate the emission. So if emission was like that, and you guys are going to see that it's not that cool. So you click on calculate and it starts calculating it, but it's actually doing a bit of a wrong calculating because max particles always has to be up by 1. So 72 instead. Just make the value 1 higher, and oh my god, this is just so much smoother. So always click this and then just make it 1 up like that. By the way, you can choose how many particles you want. You can choose whatever you want. And what we're gonna do is, if you want the trail to be shorter, you can just go ahead and change the lifetime. But just make sure you click calc afterwards and make this one a bit higher. So now the trail is a bit shorter, and if you want to make it be small at the end, just go ahead and bring the end size to 0, and there you have a very nice little trail. What you could also do is add a bit of a scale friction, but yeah, this is just how you want the particle to look like. It just depends on it. So you can pretty much just keep adding stuff to it. So for example, you can just make it go up a bit, and then you guys can see that it's basically like going up like that by gravity. So you can decide, or if you want to make it go to the left, you can do that too, which just leads to more distance between the later ones that are gonna come. And this is honestly looking pretty good. Just make sure you don't use too many particles. I mean, like that is pretty doable. So now how do we make this rainbow? To make it rainbow, you just have to give it a color. So select the actual particle and go over here, give it a random color. Let's say I give it 22, make it red and blending. And now the particle icon is going to turn red, but the particle itself is not. And to fix that, you just go ahead in here and click on extra and use object color. So you guys can see that the particle is now red. That is phenomenal. So now we just have to change the color of 22 to rainbow. And to do that, it's actually very simple. So we just go ahead and add a color trigger, add 22 and just make it pink, copy and paste over here, make it blue, copy and paste, move there, cyan, copy and paste, green, copy and paste, green, copy and paste, kind of orange. And finally, we're going to do back to red. So now just select all of them and loop them. And that's pretty much it. Now you guys are going to see that, yeah, we're kind of cooking, especially if we actually like make this kind of like that. It's just going to bring a lot more effect to it. And it's, I'm not gonna lie, this is looking pretty good. And what you can do, but this is like a special edition just for those who actually stayed until here, is something like this. So just a new particle, use this one, a bit of fade out and less particles. You can also make it bigger, but yeah, I mean, this is, I'm not gonna lie, this is looking pretty good. So there you have it. You have a cool little thing. And now what you can also do, you can make this a bit brighter by going in here and changing the saturation, which is just gonna add this like beautiful 3D looking thing. And it's phenomenal. It's really, really cool. Make sure the glow is behind it. And there you have it, a very cool 3D looking thing. So now we have that. We can select it over here and make it touch triggers so that it doesn't get enabled. And now let's actually add a new particle thing. So one thing I love adding is when the particle goes like small and then it starts going really, really big. So it leads to this, like, you can say perspective thing, as if you're like zooming into something. So it's pretty much like this. So you start in here, this is the player, and the more the particle goes to the left, the more it kind of like expands, which looks pretty cool. So I'm going to teach you how to do that as well, because the particle system is very, very powerful. So the very first thing, always when making the trail, make sure it's relative. And in our case, what we're going to do is we're going to make the pulse var 0. We're going to bring this one all the way to 180, and we're simply going to give it a new group ID. Let's say we give it 9 and advanced follow player 1. And now you can just preview it and see how it looks like, and go ahead over there. So now we can actually start making adjustments to it. So we want to bring down the angle plus minus, and also we want to bring up the speed a bit, and we're going to bring up this axle rad, which is just going to lead to this cool little effect. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring the particles to a bit of a higher thing. You can add fade in if you want to. I mean, of course, like all these values, you can change them as you want, but I think this is already looking pretty nice. So you can go ahead and adjust this one as well. And what I like to do when it comes to these like squares, I like to give them random rotations like so. And always the end thing, I like to have it small just because it leads to a much cooler effect. And this one, we're actually just going to use the normal color that are already available for us. So something like this. And also one trick is to actually upper this one, which is going to lead to a bit of a randomness. And this is starting to look very cool. So we're going to make it a bit lower. So live for a little less time. And we're going to add a bit of gravity too, just to make it a bit like kind of falling, and also maybe a bit like that. So it's pretty much just, you know, adjusting it to your liking. And I think this is not bad, but you can still spice it up even more, which is exactly what we're going to be doing. So do this. Also, one thing I forgot to actually make these guys blending over here, but I don't think it matters. So we're going to do like a particle like so. So just copy and paste it, change it to this one and make it really big. And yeah, you have a very nice looking fire thing going on behind the player, which looks really cool. And if you like change the speed, you can like play around with this, where if you start changing the speed, that's where the thing is actually going to start playing. And you guys can see that I am so bad at hitting portals, but this is actually, yeah, it works pretty cool. So those are those ones. So I'm just going to go ahead and like list them in here so that in the end, you guys can choose which one you liked the most and let me know down in the comments. So we're going to make this touch trigger, and let's get into the third particle trail. So in here, I would like to do something a little more interesting. So we're going to go to extra, we're going to make it relative, and first of all, we're also going to bring all these guys down to 0, and we're going to bring the scale up, everything 0, and we're going to select these circles, and I'm just going to go ahead and give this a new group ID, and again, advanced follow, 10 and P1, and yeah, now looks pretty cool. So bring it down as always, and now the cheat is to actually make it bigger and kind of make it like fit the particle thing, and now just use the warping system to make it kind of small. And if that doesn't work and it doesn't shrink because the warping system just doesn't work, you can just use this thing, which is like an oval thing, which is gonna lead to this like beautiful warping thing, and I think it looks phenomenal. But we're about to make this really, really nice. So the first step is you want to go ahead and of course adjust this by 1, and this way it doesn't cut, because the cut is just so annoying. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and select this one instead. So we copied and pasted it, of course, and actually I'm gonna go to this one and I'm gonna make it super duper pink like that, and this one's gonna go on top of it, so you guys can already see that this is getting somewhere. So this one we're gonna lower the particles a bit, we're gonna make sure it is up by 1, and this one goes to really small, and now we're gonna copy and paste it again. Believe it or not, sometimes if you just keep adding more and more, it just looks cool, but at one point this is gonna be enough. So now this one is gonna have the color of kind of like that, so like purple-ish, and what I'm trying to achieve is something like a glowing effect behind the player, which I think is starting to look pretty cool. Just gonna make this a bit smaller, like maybe 30 should be 30. Yeah, oh my god, this is so cool. So yeah, now we have this. Now you guys can see that there's actually an issue where they don't match the position. I don't know if you guys can see this, but if that happens, just make sure that the max particles are the same. So this one's 30, that one's 31, this one's 31, that one 30, and yeah, now they should be pretty good to go. Okay, cool. So just even more, bro, even more. Just don't go too crazy, because otherwise your level is literally going to be unplayable. For this one, what we're going to do is bring down the opacity, and we're going to make it a bit more pink. So not too much, just a tiny bit, and bring down the opacity, and yeah, looking pretty good. I'd like to scale this up even more, so maybe 79. Also, if you go like over 100, it's gonna start getting really laggy, so just avoid that. You guys can see that now it is looking pretty cool, but that's not even everything. We're gonna keep spicing it up. So what I like to do is 10 and 10 in here, so we have a bit of space. You guys can see a rectangle, and you just use these guys and make them kind of scale like that and rotate. So we can play around with the position. We can have like not position, scale, like random scale, and make them kind of like pinkish like that. And what you can do is also play around with these guys, which is just going to give them random color, which is just phenomenal. I absolutely love the particle system. It is unbelievable. So now they're actually a bit too small. You can't see them. So just go ahead and adjust this one. Oh my god, this is so good. Like if you had a level that's kind of dark-ish and stuff like that, it could just look so cool. So actually adjust this one as well. And yeah, this is looking so cool. So depending on your level, you can decide which one works the best for you. So we're just going to go ahead and keep moving. We're going to bring this up to, oh my god, these effects are a bit annoying. And we're going to move these guys up, and we're going to make this one touch triggered. So now we can get into our 4th particle trail. And I think so far it's actually pretty good. So one thing I love doing, especially if the background is kind of like purple-ish, kind of like that. What I like to do is add a particle and make it star. So star, and make it yellow, like really yellow, and like that. Yellow is 255, 255. It has to be exactly yellow. So now adjust these guys, make this one about like 15, this one 15. So the values don't have to be exact, but sometimes they actually do, because you want the perfection right there. So bring this one to 0, relative, and let's actually make this guy follow. So 11, I think now you guys already know the drill of how to follow stuff. So phenomenal. Don't forget to make it behind the player. And yeah, let's just cramp this up a bit and see how that's gonna look like. So that's actually starting to look really cool. Let me just remove the additive and see how that's gonna, yeah, not really it. So additive is just like, is that the blending or not? And we don't really want that. So we're gonna make him fade out a bit, and we also want them to rotate like that. And this is just gonna give it this really cool effect, you guys can see. So just adjust the scales. I don't like to have stars too big, honestly. I don't know why, but stars look bad when they're big, but when they have like these variations in them, they look phenomenal. So do that. And of course, I always love adding kind of like yellowish stuff behind it. So also make sure to bring this guy down a bit. And this actually doesn't look that good. So we're going to get rid of that. And just like copy and paste this one. Let's see what else we can add on top of it. So one thing I also like to add is basically just lower the max particles. Click on this one. I know it doesn't really matter if you do one more because you're not even going to be able to spot this. So go ahead and select different things. So we're going to make this like really low. And in fact, I'm even going to bring this guy down and so that there are a lot of stars, some of these guys and then some of those. And just choose a different one. Like let's say that one looks cool. Just some that look different. And now you guys can see that we have quite some variations going on behind, which just looks pretty cool. So now copy and paste another one. And now I'm going to try to do something a bit more risky. So what we're going to do is firstly make the start spin equal to end spin so that if we start at random, it's actually going to stay that way. And we're going to choose this one and we're going to make that one 0 and we're going to make them like really big like so. Also start size equal to end so that this is the way they look. And we're going to bring up this guy so that it's kind of your hair like that. Just looks really cool. So, oh my God, this is starting to look pretty cool. Okay, so make it a bit smaller and actually bigger was a bit better, but I meant just less maybe. Yeah, less. So just make sure to use as less as possible without ruining the effect. So this one was a bit too few because we had like these gaps in them, but like that looks pretty nice. So now actually I want to select all of these guys and make it a bit larger area because yeah, the trail might mess up a bit. But now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and copy and paste it. And this time we're going to make it on top of this one. We want to make sure that it's actually going to end up being on top because this one's going to be white and it's going to be smaller so that we have this beautiful looking thing, which my God, this looks way better than I thought it was going to look like. But yeah, if the background is purple and you're vibing with stars and all that, it just looks phenomenal. And one thing, yeah, that is how you make a trail and a lot of particles, but we're going to go ahead and bring up the Y gravity because I want to have some like, you know, things just floating up like slowly. I'm going to make them live a bit longer and I don't know which one to exactly select. So I'm going to go ahead and see how that one looks like. Ooh, yeah, that actually looks pretty cool. Like with the stars, just some of them are like falling up, which yeah, I'm not gonna lie, but this is looking pretty nice. So yeah, I guess that's the fourth one. And that's how you make a trail. And it isn't a bad idea. Like making a trail that consists of 7 different particle systems is totally fine. It is very acceptable, even if you want to have a rated level or an epic or a mythic. Like it isn't bad for optimizations. Don't you ever think that. Why? Because this one has 18 particles, this one has 9, and this one has 9, this one also 9. So in total, that's about like 40 or 50. In here, you got another 50, so that's 100. In here, maybe a bit more, you can lower that, and you got 100, like almost 200 for a trail that's gonna last like an entire part. Like, come on, like it's worth it. As soon as you have like above 1000 particles on a screen at one single time, that's when I think it gets a bit unoptimized. But yeah, you can just choose whatever you want. And now let's actually get to the last one, which yeah, the last one is going to be very cool. So we're going to exactly use the same like rainbow thing from the beginning, and we're going to go ahead and review exactly how I did it, because this one actually requires a few more triggers, and it's a trail that I made a long time ago, but I think it's just so cool that it's worth sharing. You guys can see it is quite some particles. So yeah, this is how it looks like. But firstly, I'm going to go ahead and make this a touch trigger, and yeah, let's do it. Let's delve right into it. So the first thing is you want to have this particle, which is that one, and this is exactly how it looks like if you want to copy it. And this is going to lead to this like beautiful looking kind of 3D line that's going to like a worm that's going to move, which is just phenomenal. So place that over there, and this is actually the exact same particle that we used at the beginning, but it has my colors. So red into purple and 200 particles. And yeah, you can go ahead and like, you know, take a look at those values too. And then we have the rings. The rings are one of my favorites, and they're like, I don't know how you want to call them, but they're like really cool rings. Use this, and of course fade out, and that one scale like that, and they just look so cool with 18 18 particles only. You can get that. That is a pretty good deal. And finally, we have a glow. Of course, I always add glow, and take a look at the values if you want to. And yeah, we have a circle in here. That's not really, so it's only 4 particles for that. That's actually pretty good. So now just add it on top of there. And now one thing that's cool is that we have particles that if they rotate, they're going to actually have some effect going on, which is why I added that circle. So we're simply going to make 26 like rotate around 26. It's going to constantly rotate, and it's basically just rotating this entire thing around itself. And then you can of course have a, you know, camera, not a camera, like a follow advanced like that, and then 26 it was. This one we can get rid of, and yeah, and this is so cool. So of course it also uses the rainbow. I was actually going to use my own colors for it, but I decided to change that and just use a rainbow, which looks cool. However, the rings stay yellow because the yellow is also very fitting for that. So yeah, I guess that's it. Let me know which particle you liked the most. I think that one and that one and that one and that one and also the bottom one, all of them were amazing. Other than that, I think the rest of the ones were absolute trash. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and also subscribe, and feel free to rewatch this tutorial one more time or even 2 times, no worries, and watch one of those playlists that is on the screen right now if you want to learn more about the Geometry Dash editor, and I will see you guys over there.